You know, right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in media, sports, entertainment, and of course, Big Brother. Nick Durst here, along with Joe Calabrese and Joe. It was only a matter of time. It took a lot of time, but finally, our guest today joins many of his castmates as a
Yeah.
guest on the You Know I'm Right podcast.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
hello to everybody.
What's up? We welcome Cedric to the show. As you can see, I'm not in my usual spot. I'm actually at Arno in Midtown doing the remote showing here. So Cedric and I appreciate you joining the show. What's up, man? How you doing? How you been since you left the house?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the background right here. I like the little switch up. Um, I'm doing great though. Leaving the house, getting to watch it, and just how the season has developed has been amazing, an amazing experience. And luckily, I have a lot of supporters that made my transition really easy to the outside world. So it's been amazing.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was interesting to come and shift back and like watch the show. How long did it take you to, adjust to back the real world? But really, like, how was it watching the show once you left the house?
So it's weird. It came in like tiers or like levels. When I first got out, it was super, super crazy to me because I was still in touch with everything that had happened that week or the prior 2 weeks. So there was still like room to navigate or like, oh, if I was in there, we could have done this. Then after the 2 week mark, it was kind of like, well, I don't even know how the game would be different if I was in the house. So then I
Right.
really got to engage as a viewer and a fan of the show. So it was like a switch, but it's been fun. Except for when Leah was playing with my guys.
Mm.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So let's talk about your background first.
All right.
Growing up, you're from Running Springs, California. Talk about your childhood, growing up, what you wanted to be, and being from Cali.
Yeah, so it was crazy. My childhood growing up was super diverse. So I grew up in Running Springs, but I moved a lot. So I moved to West Virginia for a while, then Oklahoma, then back or when I was stationed in California. So growing up, I don't know, I didn't really have anything I wanted to be. Everyone was like, you're gonna be something special. And then I tried, I guess. So it was just be successful. We didn't have a lot of money or anything growing up. So that was my main goal. Was like, I don't care what I do. I just want to be able to be successful.
So Cedric, Oklahoma, is that where you went to high school? Is that where
That's
you?
where I went to high
All
school.
right. So I heard you were a big time college football, high school football star. Is that correct? You played
I
some
don't know how
sports?
correct there was some love for me, but I don't know about, there was a few of us. There was a few of us for sure.
All right, big time football state, of course. So obviously now you're living in Idaho. So gotta ask you, how are the potatoes there? Because Idaho is known for the potatoes.
Yeah, so crazy story. I was just at Costco the other day and I like asked a worker which potatoes are the best potatoes because they're my favorite food. I love potatoes. So he hooked it up and it's been banging. The potatoes are fire out here.
There we go. Live it up to its reputation. So obviously a big part of your background, your time in the United States Marine Corps. So talk to us about enlisting and talk to us about becoming an electronic intelligence agent or analyst. How did you go about getting that? Did you have any background in that beforehand? And what exactly does that entail, that part of the job?
Yeah, so the Marine Corps was an amazing experience. I got to meet a lot of amazing people and do a lot of really cool things. But yeah, basically, it all goes off of your test scores, and my test scores were high enough to qualify for whatever job I wanted in the Marine Corps. And it turned out that there was like an intelligence field I had knew nothing about. And I was like, that seems cool. And then it gets divided up into a bunch of categories. And I was like, that sounds cool too. So that's kind of how it all fell into place. And it helped me a lot, especially in the Big Brother house. The Marine Corps, for one, helped me because I was used to like the isolation and
Mhm.
separation from everybody. And then like being an intelligence analyst helped me just using my common sense and my analytical skills. Clearly not enough to get past week 4, but it helped a little bit.
So
Well,
you
I
got
think,
through.
yeah, I was gonna say, last season, Nick and I, we had Heisem on with us, and it
Mhm.
was very clear from that point on in the season and the show, his eviction is really drastically what changed everything. For this season, I'm pretty sure it was your eviction. And like I said, we'll still get to that in a little bit. But I want to talk to you first about the auditioning process for being on the show. Were you watching the show before? How long have you been watching? And what was the decision like to ultimately try out and cast for Big Brother?
So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain. So growing up, we played Big Brother like as a neighborhood in West Virginia.
Wow.
If any of the West Virginian people are watching this, like,
Wow.
yeah. So we used to play Big Brother and we were like kicking people down the hill. Everybody was getting evicted. It was crazy. And then we just restart every day because no one could ever keep track of who was winning. And that kind of just sat with me for a while. And then one day I was like, that sounds like it would be a. I actually stumbled upon it. So I stumbled upon season 16 and was like, yo, we used to play this as a kid. Because as a kid, I didn't know it was a show. I thought we made it up. So
Ah.
and I was like, this is a genius idea. Like we could make millions. But I stumbled upon it as an adult, and then I was like, yo, this would be an amazing experience, an amazing opportunity. So kind of just went from there.
So, Cedric, you're a stylish guy. I'm wondering what was the packing process like for you to decide what you're going to bring clothing wise to the Big Brother house?
Oh, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. There's so much you want to bring, so little space. But it was fun though. It was fun and it was unique because it got to push my style into different limits that I would have not really taken it if had I not been in the house. So it was awesome.
So early on in this season, there was a five-person alliance. The Pentagon. It
Mm.
was you, Brooklyn, Cam and Chelsea and Quinn. Cam and Chelsea are still in the house, going strong. But you kind of pulled. So we're friends with Pooch, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
kind of pulled a little bit of a Pooch where you, in good faith, you volunteered to be a pawn and go up on the block. And as you know now, pawns always go home.
Yeah.
What was the strategy behind that? Obviously, it didn't work out in your favor, but ultimately, you regret that decision, right?
I do. I ultimately regret it, kind of because I got evicted that week. But then going back to like my analyst skills, it was a very calculated risk, and I had weighed the pros and cons to it drastically, and the chances of me going home that week were less than 5%. Like if we're being completely honest, less than 5% chance that I get evicted that week even with which I didn't know, but even with T Core and Chemo knowing about the Pentagon, it just so happened that everything that week went wrong, like the exact opposite of what I needed to happen. Literally every situation, the exact opposite happened, leading to my eviction. And it's funny you bring up Pooch because everyone kind of tells me, or everyone that I've hung out with, it's like, yo, you remind me of Pooch so much. Like you guys will be amazing together. So I have to go see him in New York.
Pooch is an interesting fella, that's for sure. But yeah, that they call pulling a pooch for a reason. Go on the block, go home. That's the way it goes. But everybody else in the house, I mean, yeah, they were sad to see you go, but they got a big threat out competition wise. And then
Mhm.
once they got Tucker out of the house too, it was like, all right, now the competitions are fair game for everybody. Is there anybody that really impressed you on a personal or game level in the time you were there, just as far as like the competitor that they were?
So far, like watching the whole season to the point where we're at now, MJ has kind of surprised me. She's been comp beasting it up over there. So MJ's gone kind of crazy, and Chelsea, I knew was gonna be like the hardest person for me to navigate, not in the game necessarily, but when we got to finale night. Because listen, okay, hang on, because y'all are about to get me turned up right now. Um, Back to the calculated risk of me going on the block and being a pawn week 4. Had that worked out, which other than we got to remember Tucker was a pawn for 2 weeks, was safe. We had the arena. There was 3 nominees. So I thought being a pawn wasn't the same as a traditional being a
Yeah.
pawn in the season. So I was like, oh, we might be safe. But then had I stayed that week, I would have had the resume to coast the entire time until like where we're at now, final 5, final 4, and just relax. Everyone forget about me. And then
Yeah.
that was like my goal for the end game. So in finale night, I can articulate a speech next to Chelsea because she's by far the best player in the house.
Yeah, the puppeteer, that's for sure. She's the master right now. So, Cedric, now, you're under contract with CBS. CBS has a great show, Young Sheldon. Maybe they could do a Young
Mhm.
Cedric spinoff. What do you think? How'd you get the nickname Young Cedric?
So we came up with young Cedric in the fish tank room. It was Joseph. There's a bunch of us up there, but Joseph ended up being the producer of Young Cedric as alongside Cam. And we were just like, yo, wouldn't it be amazing if we could just have our own TV show where we teach adolescent youth cool lessons? And then, if you caught it on the live feeds, it kind of went a whole nother direction. But that's where it started, was just teaching youth cool lessons like, hey,
All
your
right.
lunch lady's a person too.
We'll see. Could something could happen. You never know. As we wrap up here, just wanted to, like, what's next for you? Like, what's the plans here, Cedric? Right now, you're enjoying life. I know it. You're riding the wave. What's next? What are the plans here for Cedric?
The plans for Cedric are just back to school, nose to the grindstone, trying to this was an amazing side quest arc of my life, and I would love to, do it again eventually. But right now I'm just back in school trying to get myself set up so I don't have to struggle and my family doesn't have to struggle either.
Very nice. Where are you going to school?
So I actually go to flight school.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's kind of, yeah, it's different. Everyone's like, you go to BSU. I don't go to BSU. It's flight school.
All right, coming to a flight near you soon, Cedric. Cedric, in your life or your career, what would you say is your I'm right moment? What I mean by that, it's a time or place where you want to pursue something. You ask somebody for advice. They're like, Cedric, that's a terrible idea. It's not going to work out. Why would you do that? And you were like, you know what? I'm going to pursue it anyway. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And in the end, I'll tell you that I was right about this, and I could tell you I told you so.
I'm not sure if I've stumbled upon that moment yet in my life. It sounds like it's coming up
Hmm.
really soon.
Could be. You're
I
still
think
young, so it could happen anytime soon.
young Cedric might have a very pivotal moment here in the future.
Cedric, last question from me, and then we'll let you go. You mentioned wanting to see Pooch. Pooch is actually a friend of ours. Pooch is a friend of my cousin's friend group. Have you ever been to New York before? And when you do come here, you want us to hook you up? We'll get you some great spots to eat over here.
Yo, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. Let's get into it.
Love it. Love it. Cedric, we appreciate your time. Thank you for doing this with us. Little bit of a fumble at the beginning, but we're happy that you came on with us. If there's anything else you would personally like to share or promote for yourself, by all means, go ahead. We know you have a lot going on moving forward. We wish you the best of luck moving forward. Hopefully, we see you soon, whether it's before, whether it's next year at the premiere party, whatever. But
We
hopefully, we're
might
able to
see
see you
Cedric at
soon.
like a Sabrina Carpenter concert soon, rocking out.
Oh yeah,
She bangs. She's so dope.
she is good. I mean, like I said, Cedric, if you got anything else to share, bro, please. We appreciate your time. Thanks again for doing this with us.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you for sticking with me. It's been an amazing interview, an amazing time. I love you both. Have an amazing day. You guys kill it.
All right, love ending it with that power of positivity there. That's gonna do it here for this episode of I'm Right. For our very special guest, Cedric. For my co-host Joe, whose camera was bouncing over the screen. So if you're listening, no issues there. I am Nick, and this has been I'm Right.